Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Harlequin here, and welcome to another episode of Harlequin Cast Dawn of War 2 Retribution. Today's game is going to be a fun little 1 versus 1 between two very skilled players. And I'd just like to start off with a quick shout out to all the fine ladies and gentlemen out in general chat. I often just hang out in general chat before I'm casting a game and just talk to people and say hi and see what's up. But a special negative shout out to all the ill-mannered little young children who like to just kind of spam general chat there. That's right, a negative shout out. That means if I ever give them a shout out in the future, that'll bring them back to 0 total shout outs. A harsh penalty indeed. Anyhow, moving right along here, we are on the map Outer Reaches today, and a little habit I picked up when I first started casting these games is I love kind of trying to set the scene with a nice little camera angle. And a lot of these maps have a lot of spare room around the edges, and so it's a nice place to kind of nestle your camera and get a look at stuff. Stuff you never really even see before. Like, what's all this going on over here? Little tiny little temple buildings and stuff just kind of way off on the side. You'd never play out there. Who knows exactly? I sure don't. Anyhow, moving right along, let's take a look at the players that we've got lined up, because these are two fine gentlemen. Over here on the right-hand side with a dashing white and red paint scheme, playing as the Ravener Alpha for the Tyranid, we have Mr. Acra. He's got about a 2,000 and something rating. He's definitely in the top 50 on the leaderboard. And over on the left-hand side of the map, his opponent today, with a nice little black and white paint scheme today, playing as the Apothecary for the Space Marines, we have Mr. Aki. Aki today playing as Inf Aki Thakarian. I don't know what exactly that means. I know Inf is the guild Infamous that he, Choco Bambas, Texanius, a bunch of those guys carried that tag around. Aki is a expert on Dawn of War, the Dawn of War 2 section of GameReplays.org, and a fine gentleman indeed, 2150-ish rating, top 20 roughly. You know, I like to just kind of throw those LO numbers out there for anyone who's interested. Anyhow, let's go ahead and get this game started. So we can see right away, just kind of interesting, that Acra is going to be going for a second Hormagaunt squad, Hormagaunt brood. I don't need to call them a squad. They have their own little classification there of a brood. So he's going for quick little melee guys, whereas we do see the Tactical Marine squad out there. Now the Apothecary and the Ravener Alpha, and I'll talk briefly about this. I don't usually like to get into balance too much, but there have been some interesting discussions, and what comes up often enough is that heroes like the Ravener Alpha and the Apothecary are not high up in the ladder usually, because I think the argument is that most people don't know how to abuse them, but in the right hands, the argument is that the Ravener Alpha and the Apothecary are some very, very tricky heroes. In fact, they tend to perform very well in tournaments, although we don't see just like your average Joe Q public using them very much. So this is an interesting matchup just from those point of view. I'm not making any claims as to whether or not those units are in fact balanced or not. I try to stay away from those troll fights there. But taking a look around, we can see that other than the fact that he began with the initial second Hormagaunt brood, Acra has just moved on to a normal Termagaunt brood there. And looking over here on the left-hand side, trying to keep an eye on power and whatnot, we can see that Aki has not really upgraded any additional generators or anything like that. He is likely saving up for a second squad of Space Marines, which will happen right at 450 if he's on top of his build order. And bam! Perfect build order there coming out of Aki. You can see now he's kind of going to be going for a nice little tough Tier 1 army there. Double Tactical Marines backing up his Apothecary and initial scouts. Map control is moving right along, by the way, and I failed to point out any of this stuff, but note, by the way, we do have these Ravener tunnels kind of littering the scene here. And this is, of course, always tricky. Notice what Acra did right here. He just made a very direct push against his opponent's power. That was his first thing. He bunched up all of his units, went along one path, and went and challenged the power. It was very fortuitous that Aki hadn't decided to invest in any early power. Oftentimes, a Space Marine build that wants a fast assault Space Marine squad will immediately throw down 2 generators here. If that were the case, Acra could very well have got some free kills. Very unfortunate retreat pathing here. Unfortunately, these Hormagaunts are going to take a little bit of damage and have to retreat out of there. Looking back over here, though, we can see that this scout squad has ventured all the way over to Acra's side of the map, however, and is now decapping this victory point. Currently tying the score up 1-1. And now the scouts themselves are trying to put a little bit of pressure on this power node, but you always got to be careful when you see these Ravner tunnels. You kind of never know what's going to pop out of them. It's always kind of a little bit of a risk there. Meanwhile, it looks like the Space Marines back here on the left-hand side of the map are just busy capturing these broken requisition points and whatnot. You can see the scouts here just trying to stay away from the Ravner Alpha, who's just kind of pursuing them around the map here, doing a little bit of light ranged attacks and whatnot. And now we do see just a straight-up Ravner brood coming out of Acre here. So nice little aggressive army here. Down on the south, we can see the combination of the Termagants and the Hormagaunts are doing wonders down here. Of course, if these Termagants ever get upgraded with the crippling poison sacks, that could be pretty good. So far, I don't believe we see... let me take a look at his other Hormagaunt squad. Yeah, we don't see any upgrades whatsoever, but the Ravener right now is just kind of slugging away with the Tactical Marines up north here. It looks like Aki is definitely going to be able to get control of this victory point, the Ravener Alpha being forced out of there. Of course, Tactical Marines, really tough gentlemen. Note, by the way, second Scout Squad on the field as well for Aki. So both players here investing pretty heavily in Tier 1. I really like this, honestly, by Aki, because oftentimes the Tyranids have a real ability to just kind of blob up Tier 1 and do a ton of damage. And so the fact that he's just putting a lot of units on the field right there is going to help mitigate that sort of superiority in numbers that the Tyranid, who are frequently without number, tend to take advantage of. Taking a look around again, just kind of every player is just getting set up right now. We can see 3 generators online right now for Aki, 2 generators online right now for Acra. There's the third one right there. The scouts are putting a little bit of pressure while doing some backcapping here, but we can see this huge blob of forces, basically all of Acra's forces right now in the same spot. And this is wonderful because obviously, I just love that flank right there. Obviously, the scouts were just keeping their distance because they didn't want anything to pop out of that Ravener tunnel, and he just flanked them old-fashioned style. Luckily, he was right on the ball with his retreat path there, only losing a single model, but that could have been an entire squad wipe if he wasn't careful or if he didn't get lucky with that a little bit. Hormagaunt Brood has been upgraded, Termagants have been upgraded, and other Hormagaunt Brood has been upgraded. We see no Devourer yet on the Ravener Brood, so they are still a melee unit. And right now we can see, check out the Ravener Alpha just popping out over here. Again, always trying to be flanky and sneaky. Just note the tunnels. I don't know why the tunnel icon on the minimap is that little squiggle. Perhaps they thought any sort of circle would just be confusing, so it's a little line. Maybe it's a side view of a tunnel or something to that effect there. I have tremendous thunder and lightning happening outside my windows. I don't think that's going to make up on my microphone, but it's fine. I have an uninterruptible power supply. I can continue casting through hell and high water and all that sort of stuff. Looking around right now, we can see this is the kind of pressure that Aki really needs to be careful of. This is exactly what makes the Tyranids so powerful. If you missed my Meet the Players #1 with Mr. Choco Bambus, he very specifically tries to play around this every time he plays against the Tyranids by spreading his power out across the map. The fact that the Tyranid player has such an advantage in numbers and can just gun right for your power supply, and look at the damage that he's just reaping on this right now. It's a really, really powerful timing attack from the Tyranid players, and so I would definitely say in the future, other players out there, just be warned. That is a powerful, powerful attack, mid-game attack. Note the time right now. We're about 6 minutes in, about 5 minutes in. Just keep that number in your mind in terms of potential counterattack times. I don't know how standard that is. Obviously, there were plenty of times early in the game where you could have done that. But in general, that's the timing attack, the gen-bashing timing attack that Tyranid players have at their disposal. Aki was able to drive it away, but not before losing completely everything at his generator farm there, including the power node itself. So things in general looking pretty good for Acra. Acra is behind in Tier 2, but that's fine. He invested a lot in his units. He put lots of power in each of them. Oh, these guys are busy getting in their tunnels right now. Aki has been at Tier 2 for some time. He is going to be having some power troubles, though, in the long run. He's spending all of his requisition, basically, or at least he'll have to at some point to get those generators back online. Scouts, by the way, do have the shotgun upgrade. We see a little bit of that high-powered shot being used to knock back the Hormagaunts, keeping them off. Notice all the focus fire right now it looked like it was all going right into that apothecary there, trying to take him out of the equation as quickly as possible. And with the retreat of the apothecary comes the retreat of the entire army. The apothecary right now taking a lot of damage and being ripped apart by the tiny little Hormagaunts there. So, oh, look at that, instantly using Lariman's Blessing as well. That was a little bit of a ballsy move there. It looked like he waited until he saw his opponent just kind of back off a little bit and then fired off Lariman's Blessing to resurrect his hero there. So that is, of course, a commander ability available only to the apothecary. It does work on allies, though, if you're in a multiplayer game. Interesting, though. So Very aggressive play, and I like the fact that he focused down the Apothecary. That was his solution to the problem. Obviously, when you have an Apothecary and a lot of Tactical Marines, you put damage in the Tactical Marines get healed. The nice thing about focusing down the single Apothecary is that, you know, eventually he'll have to retreat his army much faster. And now we can see the Ravener Brood finally getting the Devourer upgrade, and check out the Tyrant Guard coming out for Akra right now as well, in addition to the Assault Squad. So the Assault Squad combined with the Apothecary is the combo that people most seem to fear in terms of its effectiveness. Once you upgrade the Assault Squad and give it a Sergeant and all that, it seems like it never dies once the Apothecary is healing it. You can see, once again, pouring all the Focus Fire into the Apothecary, focusing it back. Aki very wisely retreating away here. You can see these Hormagaunts with their Adrenal Gland upgrades. Really, really great at pursuing retreating units there. And once again, Akra has total control over this power node. It's a very dangerous position for Aki to be in. Unfortunately, Aki has really no other sources of power. I mean, he hasn't upgraded this node or anything like that. So that's going to really set him back here. Now we can see that the Assault Squad has landed. They're doing a little bit of damage to the Ravener Alpha, but really having to back out. There's just far too many units there. You can see right away getting that Sergeant upgrade and picking up one of those precious heals from the Apothecary. No gear upgrades yet, but man, landing straight on top of those Hormagaunts and just going to be chain sorting away at all of them. The Sergeant's on the field right now too. That'll make them a bit tougher and help them out a little bit here. So again, having to upgrade that power node again, though really, really setting back Aki here. But in general, I do like his distribution of units. Like I said, it's very important to kind of meet the Tyranid player unit for unit on the battlefield and be able to just kind of stand up to their without numberedness. And here we have it. Look at that brilliant white and red paint job. This Tyrant Guard is on the battlefield right now. He has one purpose and one purpose only, and that is to beat up Space Marines. That's why he's here. That's what he will be doing. And look at that face, man. It's a face only a mother could love. No, I'm just kidding. I love it too. Anyhow, so we can see here just doing a little bit of light defense right now. The Space Marines being chased away, but here we have it. This is what the Tyrant Guard wants to be doing. Putting pressure on those Assault Marines. The poor Hormagaunts are kind of taking one for the team right now. But honestly, this Tyrant Guard does not care. He doesn't afraid of anything. He likes chewing on Assault Marines. And now we can see the counterattack coming from this more southern Ravener tunnel here. Scaring away some of the Space Marines. Again, they're going to chase a little bit, but not much to be had there. The Tyrant Guard, however, is just continuing his unrelenting assault here. Just going to kind of pursue around these gentlemen. Hasn't actually inflicted that much damage yet, although there could have been an Apothecary heal. The Apothecary is here. Assault Marines, however, jumping down on top of the Ravener Brood. Ravener Brood tunneling. Is it going to be a point-blank tunnel? Yes, it is. Point-blank tunnel directly on top just to kind of disrupt and knock gentlemen back once again. Putting a little bit of pain onto these